So, Deepak is a leader in the analytics education field, owning global education programs at Google that empower all those interested in digital analytics to get the most out of it. His 13 years of experience in the analytics industry includes selling, implementing, and teaching analytics products, as well as speaking at industry events and guest lecturing at universities around the globe. We're super excited to have you, Dee, to speak on how Google is empowering educators and students to learn and teach analytics. And we'll give you about 30 minutes and take it away, my friend.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, hey, everyone, it's nice to be connected to you. I'm going to go ahead and share my slides. Brilliant. So, yeah, as Chad just mentioned, I'm here to talk to you today about how Google is empowering educators and students to learn and teach analytics. Start off a little bit about me. So as you would expect from someone speaking to you at a conference such as this, I have plenty of industry experience. Been in the game for over 12 years. I've worked on the agency side, so helping a lot of clients get up and running with analytics. On the client side, using analytics day to day, and on the vendor side, actually being part of teams helping to create the actual analytics software. I've interacted with many businesses from large enterprises, some of which are the largest digital marketers in the world, to hundreds of small and medium enterprises, just helping them understand the usefulness of analytics, to also helping them implement it as well. But the part that I think is most important for today is two things. So one, I'm very passionate about education, and secondly, I very much enjoy working with analytics, hence why I've been in the industry for 12 years. And so I think I've got quite a lot of experience and some examples of resources that I'd like to share with you today that I think you will find very useful for leveling up your courses and the way you teach analytics at present. And right now I am a program manager at Google, primarily within the analytics team, creating analytics education material, but somewhat different to what you would do. It's more about kind of scaling out resources to empower individuals such as yourselves to help you learn and teach analytics at scale. All right, so I'd be remiss if I didn't take a second just to talk a little bit about Google Analytics. That is the product that I work with the most. And as some of you might know, over the last year, we've made some big announcements in relation to the next version of Google Analytics, which we refer to as Google Analytics 4 or GA4. And this is a big kind of step forward for us in what the software can do and how it can help our advertisers, as well as many other businesses that use analytics. And it's kind of built on three major things. So one is it helps to develop smart insights. So we've kind of built this analytics product from the ground up and very much made machine learning part of that. So it will try to help a lot of analysts automatically by uncovering insights, looking at the data, comparing it to kind of past performances, and really trying to bring to light anything that we feel might be really useful to GA users. We're also keeping it very customer centric and trying to make sure that we provide the data and the reports that lets users know more about their customers in terms of how they're interacting with the site, what ads are driving them to the site, and which things are working the best in order to drive conversions. One of the other big factors, something that you may be aware of in the industry that is very important, is privacy. And so that's something that we're taking very seriously with this new version of analytics. We really much have tried to build in a lot of data controls, and we'll continue to do that as industry standards might change. We're ready to make sure that users will have the control to select what they do and do not want to collect, and we'll be transparent on what we'll be collecting as well. So we very much do want to make GA4 the tool for small to medium-sized enterprises all the way to large enterprises, and allow them to customize it in the way that serves them best, as opposed to just trying to give them everything and hoping they learn to use it all. So you will see many cool things coming up to do with GA4. It is officially launched. It's available now. It's free to use, and stay on the lookout for more announcements coming soon. Okay, so GA4 may be something that you're teaching within your courses, or something you'd be interested to teach, given how popular GA is amongst businesses, and it's a great skill to have for students. When they walk into a business, it's very likely that business will be using some sort of analytics product, and even if they continue to do a startup or something like that, they will ideally use analytics in order to help them drive business decisions. And so we've created a lot of material to teach analytics, but we need to cover a broader range of users, or I should say, people we're trying to teach. So we're not just focused primarily on students, but I see a good partnership between my team, which focuses on analytics education, and folks such as yourself who are out there teaching it directly to those that are interested in working with it, teaching it to others, or actually using it. So I see a real good win-win situation here. So I'd like to take you through some of the material that my team is directly involved with, and then we can look at how you might bring that together to leverage it within the classroom. So before I dive into the Google material, I've got to give a shout out to Stuken, our host today. Thank you so much for bringing us together. And I do want to highlight some of the material that they have. They are very much focused on higher education, where we have a much broader audience. They have both courseware and simulations. I believe Chad referred to that a bit earlier. So they have the Mimic product, which provides simulations for analytics as well as digital marketing. And obviously the coursework is there as well. So as I go through the material now for Google, you will see in the bottom right short links. I am going to try to make this convenient for you by just pasting them all into the chat now, so you don't have to write them all down. So hopefully you can see that all now on the chat. And if you don't, we'll be sure to share it afterwards, so you don't have to worry so much about writing down the links, and can just try to take in how I think these resources will be useful to you. Okay, so jumping to the most obvious one. So courses and assessments. This is something that a lot of you have to create, or that you provide, or that you get others to help you create. And so this is something that we now do at scale. Some of you may be familiar already with Analytics Academy. And this is something that we've merged into a new platform, which is offering courses for many more products beyond just analytics. So this is our Skillshot platform, and it provides courses for analytics, Google Ads, as well as many other products. The other cool thing about it as well is it provides certifications as well. So you can go on there to get the Google Analytics individual qualification, and you might just want to go take a look at it, even if you're not interested in getting it, but you may just want some inspiration for some assessment questions that you might want to use, and also to see kind of what standard we're looking for users to get at. So this is all free. You can go in and you can take a look at this, and you can kind of see what questions we're asking and what we're teaching. So you'll see all of the stuff from the Analytics Academy on this platform, as well as new courses for GA4. So something that's more dear to my heart is demo accounts. So this is primarily what I work on. So I was in the UK for 5-6 years with Google, and now I've been in actually the States for about 5 years, working on practical education. So I've always been a big fan of, getting hands-on with the product to learn it. One of the big things, especially students face, is when they go for interviews, they may get questions around experience. So it's always nice if they can show some sort of portfolio or examples of where they've actually used the product, even if they haven't had a chance to use it in a working environment. And so this is something that we very much wanted to allow students to get, as well as other users. It's just the chance to explore our products with kind of zero effort, without having to go create accounts, do implementation, set up any marketing campaigns, just for them to see what they could get from the product if they were to use it and set it up properly. So what we've done for GA, the Universal Analytics version, about 5 years ago, we launched a universal data set. So this is publicly available, and anyone could access it. And it had a plethora of data from a real business. So this is a living account. We had real marketing campaigns running for our own store called the Google Merchandise Store, where you can just buy swag such as like bottles and t-shirts with Google or YouTube branding on it. So it's a fun store, and it gets quite a good amount of traffic and e-commerce transactions to really highlight the usefulness of GA for small to large enterprises. So it's a great way to jump in, and it's something many of you may have already used. Now, what we've done is we got a lot of good feedback about this from universities, just saying like how it's so good to be able to access a useful data set universally. So they know that exactly what they're seeing, the students are seeing, they can set questions, assessment. So suddenly task-based education becomes a possibility. And with little upkeep from their side. This is all something that my team maintains, and we're always trying to make sure it has the latest features and new pieces of data that might be useful for education purposes. And so what we've actually done is initially we had a demo account for Universal Analytics, and we created even a sample data set for it to be used within our big data product called BigQuery. So if you ever want to go one step further from teaching students about aggregated data to kind of more raw data, you can use our sample data set for BigQuery as well, which has a free amount of usage, so students and people such as yourself can go in and use it. Now, what we've done is, because that was so useful, now that we have the new version of Google Analytics, we've done the same again, except in this case, when you go to the demo account, you'll now see two properties for the Google Analytics for product, one for the popular merchandise store, so that's our e-commerce store, and you'll also see one for a gaming app. So this is new, it's a gaming app called Flood It. It's just a fun puzzle game available on Android and iOS, and it's just a great way for us to get in some analytics data for a gaming app, just given how popular it is that developers are using analytics, and just how popular it is that people use kind of cross-platform. So they'll go to a mobile to visit a website or an app, and they'll also use kind of their tablet and also their desktop. So we really want to get data for across those platforms within a property. So hopefully you'll find this really useful. And then we've also gone ahead and made sample data sets available for both of those properties within BigQuery. So again, if you want to kind of teach a bit beyond Google Analytics to more advanced users, then the BigQuery sample data set is a great way to do that, because you'll be able to show how you can query data in all kinds of ways. And it's definitely more useful kind of for those going towards kind of that data scientist label. It's definitely will be more up their street. And we also have one for Firebase Analytics. This is the platform more geared towards mobile developers, where they can send things like notifications and everything else to do with their app in a single platform. That also has a piece of analytics software in there, and we have a demo for that as well, built right into the product. And again, so if you go to those links I shared earlier, you'll be able to see these data sets that we have available and these demo accounts, and you can access them today free of charge. Just get up and running, play around, and there's plenty of help material available as well, which I'll get into in a second. Okay, so one of the things I also wanted to mention that I'm not sure how many people are aware of is, as well as kind of the more, I should say, like front end education material we have, so helping users use the interface, get up and running, signing into their account, setting it up, etc. We also actually have the same for developers. So this is more to do with the back end of Google Analytics. How do you use the API? How do you create integrations with your own tools? How do you send offline data into Google Analytics? And all these types of things. So definitely slightly more towards the more advanced users, developers. We actually have a website that provides certain tools that lets you build these things, lets you explore certain parts of the product that you might not necessarily get just by going into the interface. And we also provide a lot of guides, so how to use those APIs, how to create integrations, and how to implement the product, and more of the kind of technical side of Google Analytics. This is all available. It's all free, and the guys and girls that work on this have created some really, really great features and tools to really like explore the more advanced side of GA. And it's definitely helped me to learn a thing or two as well about the back end of Google Analytics. And so now talking more about kind of the more using the front end, we have our help center. So this has kind of been our kind of main go-to place for a long time. Even when I first joined Google, I used to use this so much to learn about the latest features. And what's really nice is just in the past few weeks, they've actually launched mini guides to help clients migrate from Universal Analytics to Google Analytics 4. So this is useful. It's something you may be teaching in the class a bit, just because this is something that clients and businesses will go through in the future, where they migrate to software, new versions, because they always want the latest and best features. And so we tried to create some guides on how to do that. We also have lots of other things now integrated into this help center that we never used to. So we do have a community section in this help center now. So you can talk to other folks such as yourself and other users who may be novice, who may be advanced. We also give plenty of announcements. So this is some feedback that we got, that, it would just be great to know, even if it's just a sentence or two, if anything new has launched in GA recently. And so we make sure to update the announcements page on there as well. And another cool thing is we also have a privacy section in there. As mentioned, this is definitely a big part of the future of analytics. Users want more control of their data. We want to be in compliance with all privacy regulations for each country. So we're really making sure that privacy is transparent, what tools we have that users can use to really make sure they can control what data they collect. And one final one I just wanted to mention is our partner program. So we have a large partner network around the globe, over 450 partners, and these are certified in Google Analytics, as well as some other products as well. So maybe within display or mobile, and they're really great folks to work with. Actually, before I joined Google, I did actually work for 2 partners, which was a really great experience. And they just offer lots of services. So they can come on site, they can help to do trainings virtually in classroom, and they offer many other services as well. That's just a great network to have that, again, helps us scale out a lot of education and services that clients or users may want, but they may want more of a tighter relationship with someone who can be kind of more in person or virtually with them, meeting with them regularly to really customize things to their needs. And although this is more applicable to clients, I also find it useful to mention just for educators, because they are a bunch of great folks who do a lot of education for GA. They're very passionate about it also, and I believe many of them actually do guest lectures and even help teach entire courses at universities as well. So the link's there in the corner, and at the I put in the chat earlier. So do feel free to kind of reach out to them and see if they may be interested, in helping out with any guest lectures or anything else that you might be doing that will help create, analytics education be a bit more exciting for your students. So then, in summary, just the material that we have there. We mentioned courses are available on the Skillshot platform along with assessments. We have our demo accounts. That's something you can always reach out to me directly about. I work with those day to day. We have our developer tools, working with APIs and more kind of technical education material we have there. We have a help center, and that's more about getting up and running with the tool, learning about individual features, as well as privacy. And we also have our partner program, just a bunch of great folks who are really experts in analytics, who are always happy to help out others who kind of want to learn more about it. Cool. So that is what my team covers. We cover quite a bit there. As you notice, we don't really go into the classroom directly or create anything specifically just to one set of users. So this is where I think, a partnership between us makes sense, because, we're really out there trying to create educational material for a lot of users. But you sometimes need folks to come in and pick the right material from the right places, put it together, and deliver it to the audience so that they get the most out of that material. And I really much think that you folks are in a great position to do that. And I want to give you a couple of examples on how I actually do that. I did that when I was actually asked to attend some universities, do a guest lecture, or even like present a full day challenge to students. So I'd just like to begin with one quote that is very kind of applicable to what I do working with demo accounts, and that is, in theory and practice are the same. In practice, they are not. So this is something you may have experienced yourself, whether it be trying to follow kind of like a manual from IKEA and trying to put a desk together or something else where it just doesn't quite go as it should. This is very much the same as when it comes to learning analytics. You do need to get hands-on. You do need that practical experience. You can take as many online courses and read as much material as you like, but you can get stumped as soon as you go into the product if it's not set up in exactly the way you expected, or there's something new there that you've not seen before. So hopefully we can help to provide both the theory and the practice that goes together, and you can help to deliver it to students in the best way possible. And the other thing to mention is, like I mentioned, our target audience is quite vast. We cover folks from like CEOs to analysts to consultants to marketers, and we have stuff in there as well for students. But it's really about picking things from here and there to bring it together, to really make it the best experience for students to learn analytics, so that when they go for those interviews or when they have a job or when they're using it for their own business, they're really getting the most out of it. And they not only just understand how to use Google Analytics, but also just, analytics in general and how powerful it can be. And especially it's not going anywhere. It's going to be used more and more over the years. And it's definitely going to get more and more powerful to use. So it's a great skill to have, and something hopefully we can get students to learn very well. So I'd just like to take you through some lectures that I've done. So I've made the short link a bit bigger there on the bottom right, and I'll share all the links again right now on the chat. And the reason for this is, so I've actually created some material myself, and I thought, why not just share it with everyone? So for this lecture, there's a form, you can fill that in, and I'll actually share with you all the material I created for this lecture, which I've now done at probably over 10 to 15 universities across the US and in the UK. And it's gone down very well. The feedback has been very good. And I'm sure you'll find it useful as well. So my idea was, wouldn't it be great, if we could have a course on analytics and it wouldn't take, teachers, educators like so long to create things, like to at least have the materials they need ready, and then they could craft it together. And so knowing that we have the demo account, which is based on a real business, so it's like real products, it's got real-time data, engagement data, conversion, so it makes it very engaging for students, especially when you involve real-world data in there, and social data's in there, things like that. And we also have the fact that we can use that to set assessments or task-based questions that users can jump in by themselves or with others, and try to actually identify some data. Like, definitely for me, when starting out, that was always the cool thing when using analytics, is the kind of information you can get out of it. It's really insightful. So getting students to see that early on, I think helps to kind of drive up that passion for learning more about analytics. And then, as mentioned, I did some guest lecturing myself, but you can also reach out to partners, and that can add a little bit of excitement as well for the students, bringing in someone from the working world to come in and share some of the experience. So you can kind of cover like someone from the industry, you'll be covering theory, and you'll be covering practical education, all within a single lecture. And so if you fill in this form, I'll basically share a guide for you. It creates some pre-reading material for the class. It has some slides so that you can introduce the students to this Google Merchandise Store business, and then it gives them access to the demo account. So this was all done for Universal Analytics, which is still available now. The demo account is available, but hopefully it will give you the inspiration you need to create something similar for Google Analytics 4, which is the new version, and for which there is a demo account available right now. And the second one, which was a very cool thing, something I've never done before, was creating a challenge. So I had one day with students from the MS Applied Analytics course from Columbia University in New York. I flew out there from California and spent the day there. And we was like, right, we've got these great students who want to learn about analytics. How can we make this enjoyable for them and get them involved within a single day? And so what we did is we took a bit of what I just spoke about the lecture. We had some slides, we did a talk about the future of analytics and things like that. And then we introduced them to some of the demo accounts and explained how they could go in and play around, and they couldn't break anything, so it's absolutely fine to use. And then so what we did is we set them a challenge. So this was a case of going in and actually using Google Analytics to find some insights, and we gave them plenty of help center articles and videos to watch to give them an idea on how to use it. And then they would go away and do that and link their Google Analytics account to Data Studio, which is another product we have, which is increasingly popular amongst businesses, which is really useful for visualizations. So visualizations are kind of just growing in popularity more and more. Everyone wants to present data better and more clear. You know, especially if they're going up the chain within the company, they really want to show kind of data in a more succinct fashion. So Data Studio is our free product that does that. It integrates with Google Analytics. So you can actually connect the demo account to it and pull in some of the data and create cool like visualizations rather than in a spreadsheet. And so we gave them the challenge to do this, just to create with something simple. So you can see in the image there, like one of the reports that they created completely from scratch. It's really easy to do, but it was just amazing to see how they did this. Like they learned in just a single afternoon within a group to play around with the tools and to create a report. And they actually got up on stage, that stage we're on there, and presented in groups on what they found and where they think the Google Merchandise Store business should go in order to improve its digital marketing performance. So that was amazing. The feedback was great. I think 90% of the students found the demo account useful for practical experience, and 97% of the students found the exercise, the challenge, useful for learning Google Analytics. So hopefully that shows if you add in that practical element, that would be great for help them kind of really get involved in analytics. And I think the earlier you get hands-on with something, the more kind of into it you get. So kind of coming towards the end of my talk here, and then I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, and any from the chat as well. Please just kind of we kind of ping them, and then I'll answer them as well. So I just wanted to take a moment and just talk a bit about teaching. So thank you all for all that you've done in the last year and a half, especially. I think it's been extremely challenging for a lot of you, and even folks such as myself who are teaching from afar. So, to be able to teach students in the classroom and be used to that, to suddenly having to teach them, virtually, and not a case of being able to do both, but having to do virtually all the time, and just being able to deliver that content that might not be available in that form factor needed to teach virtually, obviously takes a lot of effort. So I really appreciate that, as I'm sure many people do around the world. Thank you again for doing all of that. And hopefully we can help as well by just continuing to create as much useful educational material we can, that's freely available online, that you can use and teach, virtually or in person. And we're always open to listening to your feedback, how we can improve this material, how we can make it more useful for you. And, as mentioned, my Twitter handle is there on the bottom left. Feel free to reach out to me, send me any direct messages. As I mentioned, I'm very passionate about teaching and about analytics, which I believe you are too. So I think we can have some great conversations if we stay in touch. And so I see someone's asking about the form. So the form will actually be on the second to last link I just posted in the chat there. So the lecture kit form is the second from the bottom. And then the challenge one right at the bottom, that's available right now. When you click that, it should load that for you. But the lecture kit is something you'll have to fill in, and I have to share with you individually, but you'll be more than welcome to use it at your university. And so on that note, thank you so much for listening. I believe we're going to open this up for a few questions. So I'll pass it back to Chad.
Yeah, thanks, Dee. That was awesome. We do have a few questions, and a few minutes till our next speaker. So I'll go ahead and feed those to you. There were a few people who wanted to know how Google Analytics is accessed. So you can either do that, or if I can have one of my team members copy and paste the answer, just so everyone knows how Google Analytics is accessed and is on the same page there. And did you have anything to say on that at all specifically, Dee, or are we good to just paste the link?
Yeah, it's pretty much just the link, analytics.google.com. Sign up, it's free. And yeah, that's it.
Perfect. So let me go down here. So this question came from Minder. Minder is asking, is Google Analytics limited to site analysis, Google AdWords analysis, etc.? How may it be used with data from other sources or tools?
As well as the last version, we've made it possible to import data. So there is a data import feature that you can read about on our Help Center, which actually allows you to bring in data either that is offline from kind of your physical stores, such as transactions that happen there, or even other data sources that you may have. And we have something called the measurement protocol, which allows you to send data in kind of a new way. It doesn't require tagging a site or anything like that. So if it's something you even want to implement within an actual kiosk, within an actual physical store, you can do that using something called the measurement protocol.
Gotcha.
So,
Perfect.
yeah.
And then another question came in, and I might need some help reading it, but just give me a minute, bear with me here. So they are asking GA/GTM, so Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, instruction/training is a foundation of my digital analytics course. Conversion to GA4, despite its advantages, is something I have avoided due to concerns about the industry adoption rate. Do you have any insights on that? And then this person said, P.S. the demo accounts are hugely valuable to us. And that was Stephen Robinson. So basically he wants to know about the adoption rate of Google Analytics 4.
Cool.
If you
Thanks
have any
for the
insights.
positive shout out, Stephen, on the demo accounts. And for GTM and GA, completely hear what you're saying. That absolutely makes sense. It's a new version. It's not something that we're expecting all existing GA users to suddenly migrate to. They're used to using the Universal Analytics version, and we expect some time for users to migrate to the new version. So we are seeing a good uptick in people migrating, and we're not kind of removing suddenly Universal Analytics anytime soon. People will be able to continue to use that, but we are recommending, much as we did when we launched the last version, is users to do dual tagging. So continue to use your Universal Analytics property, also set up a GA4 property, which you can do in the same account, and configure it very similar to how you've done in GTM for the other property. And it will just be a great way for you to start collecting data, so that when you migrate, say later on, at least you'll have some of that historical data already available within GA4. And it's something we'll continue to come up with new guides for, but it does work very well with GTM. And as we kind of build out more and more features, we do expect kind of the rate of adoption to increase. Although we do see, like I said, like regularly kind of increasing adoption right now as more and more people dual tag and then eventually migrate completely to GA4.
Yeah, just take some time, but I think everyone eventually will get there.
Yeah.
So cool. This one is kind of a more of a housekeeping thing. And I apologize if I mispronounce your name. Weiss would like to know where we can find the form to fill in, and as well as your contact details if you would like to share that. So
Sure,
if you could just put that in the chat for everyone one more time.
Yeah, let me just paste just the one link this time.
Yeah.
It avoids less confusion. So there we go. That's the form for the Analytics Education Kit, the one that's kind of more for the classroom. So that's the form to fill in. All the other links you can click and access the content right now. So this is the only one you'll need to complete a form. And as for myself, you can catch me on Twitter and just send me a direct message. And you'll pretty much get in contact with me when you fill in that form, because I will respond to you directly. So you'll also get my corporate email that way as well.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah, and we will have all those links that Dee shared earlier on his landing page after the webinar, after we build that out. So you will have access to that as well, everyone. Okay, we got a couple more questions and a couple more minutes. So Awais also asked, does virtual reality analytics, does virtual reality analytics also available on new Google Analytics for simulation-based sites?
Interesting.
That,
So
yeah,
that's definitely
I
a
hope
great
hope that
question.
makes sense to you because I don't really know.
Yeah, I'm thinking, Oasis is kind of thinking kind of more in the future. We have obviously virtual reality here. We have the metaverse being spoken about all the time.
Yeah,
And, like how we may be able to measure interactions for apps and things like that in the future. So analytics will definitely be useful there as well.
oh, yeah,
So what I can say is our step towards that is definitely the two options I mentioned earlier. So one is the measurement protocol, which can be pretty much connected to anything that's connected to the internet. So you can embed the measurement protocol in any device, and that will send whatever information you like. Similar to GA where we send events and we have a name and a value, you can do that using the measurement protocol, and that will go into your Google Analytics account. It will even kind of store some things for you, even if you're not connected, and then send them all together when it does get connected back to the internet. And then the other way is data import, which is where you'll store the data or you'll have the data available somewhere and you'll just want to upload it into GA to have that data available alongside your regular analytics data.
gotcha. That is some deep stuff. Definitely for the future. So we'll see how that all works out. Awesome. Thank you for the questions, Awais. We have just a couple more, unless people keep chatting in, which is totally fine. Sajna would like to know if there are any plans to bring in certifications to Google Analytics 4. If you could speak on that, if you're allowed to, I'm not sure, but.
Yeah, so it's something that I believe we are going to do. I haven't seen any kind of formalized version of it or anything, but as you've probably noticing with the education material, the demo accounts, we are trying to create everything that people found useful from Universal Analytics for GA4. So things like more courses, certifications, I do expect to come in the future. I would think that would be more of a kind of a next year thing, just as we are increasing adoption and we'll see more requests for that. So I would expect that to be around some more courses and a qualification coming next year.
Awesome. Yeah, we've seen that desire from professors as well for those certifications, and they, students really like them, to have them on their resumes and everything, and professors really like to give that opportunity to students as well. So yeah, that'd be great. Okay, awesome. This is the last question I'll feed Dee for today. But if you do have any questions, feel free to, for Dee that I missed, just put them in the chat, and we can try to get to those outside of the Q&A here. So this one comes from Bill, and Bill is wondering how to add visitor PII data from external sources to Explorer ID. That's like another language to me. I'm not not sure what he means, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, the red flag for me there was PII data. So I believe that it's referring to personally identifiable information, which Google Analytics does not collect. It's not supposed to collect it. It's against kind of our terms and conditions. So we don't recommend sending any sort of PII into GA. We actually even have a data deletion tool built into the product. So should you see any data that your business doesn't want you collecting or goes against your own terms of service, you can actually remove it. So then that way we won't have to delete your account or anything like that. You can just kind of dissect the data, delete that part that you consider sensitive or Google considers sensitive, and continue using your account. So just once again, yeah, we do not recommend or allow sending PII into Google Analytics. And I believe that's kind of almost kind of a standard, across the world by country, no matter what kind of product you're using. Most don't generally allow PII.
Gotcha. Good to know. Okay. All right, Deepak. Well, we appreciate your time today, and you've been a great presenter. And I'm sure a lot of people were excited to hear from you, and we just really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
No
Wishing
problem.
you all the best and hopefully speak to you all soon.
Great. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks.